All right, in this one, we'll take a look at bringing shapes in from maybe the internet or other sources and converting them into something that could be cut out. So taking shapes, making them something that can be cut out. So if I go to Google and let's say I look for the Superman symbol, what makes it easiest is if there's good contrast in whatever picture you're choosing. So contrast means that you've got very dark next to very light. And the best way to get contrast is if you choose a black and white symbol. So here I go looking for some symbols here. Maybe I'll use my tool settings and I will choose labeled for reuse. So these are interesting Superman symbols. I want one that's black and white. This one here has good contrast. Let's just see what happens with it. So I'm going to click on this image, whoops, and I'm going to copy the image into my project. So I'm going to hit Control V. Woo! Pretty big. Command minus makes lets you zoom out. I'm going to switch to the black arrow and I'm going to hold the shift key down while I resize this. So this corner, that little switch to the arrows means that I can resize things. If I go a little bit outside the corner, that means I can rotate it. So I'm going to change the size of this. And once I have this selected, again, things come up here on the, I guess, item specific or the object specific menu bar. I'm going to use this one that's called image trace. So it converts the image into a tracing object, which could potentially let me cut it out using a laser cutter. But it also lets me sort of edit things and make changes of my own. So it's traced it. I'm going to click this word expand, and now you can see that it's added pathways and anchors along this shape. Now, at the moment, this shape is composed, or it's made up of sort of this black shape, and it's made up of these white shapes. So I'm going to choose Object, Ungroup, and I might hit it a couple times, because there could be a couple levels of grouping, and I'm going to get rid of the white bits that are in this shape. So that if I laser cut this out, I just end up with that symbol. I don't have any of these white parts which might get interpreted, or the laser cutter might figure that it's supposed to etch or cut those things as well. So here I have my shape, looks pretty good. Right now it's filled in with black, but if I'm going to laser cut this, I want to change it to a clear shape. I'm going to put my color as black on the lines. And if I want to laser cut this, I want to change the point to 0.072. So now, if I sent this to the laser cutter, it should cut this out for me, and my work will look fantastic. I don't know what that little shape is there. There we go. So that will look great, and I can send that off to the laser cutter. If I wanted to, I can use that same sort of tool with text. So if I wrote the words, I'm going to, again, I've got my text options up here at the top. If I make this a bit bigger, and if I write Superman, I'll even put a hyphen in there for me. So if I put Superman, and I want that to be maybe etched across the front, then what I could do is I'll take this text and I'm going to use that same sort of expand idea to convert it into something that can be cut out. So expand the object and the fill. Typically you just say OK, and now all these letters, I can edit them to make them do different things if I want to. So if I wanted the P in Superman to be very long, I'm going to again ungroup things because everything's a single object. So now my P is separate. I'm going to use my white pointer and I'm going to zoom in so I can carefully see what I'm doing. With the pointer, if I select one anchor point, if I select a second anchor point, and I'm going to hold the shift key down. As soon as I select this anchor point, I can click and drag, and because I'm holding the shift key, it lets me keep these lines even so that it works nicely. If I don't hold the shift key and I click a second point, then everything sort of goes weird shaped. Alright, so if I wanted to bring this all over there now, I could take the Control or Command Z. I could take letter by letter if I wanted and put it in different places. If I want Superman to be sort of stretched up this way, we can do that. If I want to shrink it a bit, we can do that as well. So it gives you many more options, and I could also laser cut this out if I wanted to. If I wanted to etch it, meaning sort of engrave into the Superman symbol, Superman, just in case anybody didn't know it was Superman, I also want to use colors to do that. And the colors that you want to use are the RGB colors. So in your swatch, at the bottom here, there's libraries. And I'm going to go to the default swatches and the basic RGB. And most of these colors here, in the first 8 colors, you'll be able to use for etching. Usually here at the school, we use the cyan color. And I'm going to make it for both the fill and for the stroke. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to my toolbar over here because I use it quite often. So now what will happen is the thin black lines will get cut and this cyan colored or bluish colored word Superman will be engraved maybe a millimeter into whatever I'm working with. On the laser cutter, that's where you'd set all the different settings to make it do different levels of etching or engraving. I think that's a pretty good lesson, or a good place to stop, so we'll leave it right there.